So we would tailor the gas detection systems to exactly what you as the client needs for your particular requirements. So whether you need SMS units or you need sirens or strobes or beacons, or if you need to shut solenoid valves off in different areas, we can, if you've got many areas where there's gas being used or detected, we can close off one oven and keep the other ovens going by only closing one oven off. So we could have a multi-layered approach for your requirements. The process that TLM will cover to find out exactly what you, the client, needs is as follows. Obviously, we have to meet with you to understand what your requirements are, what you're wanting from the system, and what the systems are able to give you. We can then match the different types of systems that we can offer you for the best requirements that you need for your project. It is generally best to meet with you on the site and go through these things, because a piece of paper doesn't always tell a very good story. A site plan is all well and good, but it does, and for running cables, it doesn't always tell you how high you've got to go, what you've got to go over, are there roads in the way, are there machines in the way, is there doors, roller shutters? So all of these things aren't always that easy to understand from a set of plans. Obviously, it's not always possible to go to a site. Some sites we deal with are overseas, and you can't always get to them. And thus, a plan is the only other way forward. On the worst case scenario, we would quote you using a plan, having a look at the plan, estimating where the best place for those sensors are going to be. Obviously, depending on what type of gas it is. Some gases are heavier than air. Some gases you have to put at head height, and other gases you have to put high up. So we need to understand what the type of gas is, so we know where the position of the sensor would go. We need to understand from you, is the area being zoned for a zone 0, zone 1, or zone 2? And that will also then tell us what type of sensor would be required for your site. So what level of protection that sensor has got on the EX ratings. The ratings will change depending on the area you're putting your sensor into. So we would have a look at that for you. We would then have a look at the cable runs. Should the cables be run in Bosal pipe, which is metal? Should they be run in PVC, which is plastic? And how many cables, and how many cables we can get into a conduit? How many we needed? Should we be not using conduit? Should we be using cable trays? How are you going to fit the cable trays? Do we need ladders? Do we need scaffolding? Do we need a cherry picker? If we need any of those, then maybe a health and safety file has to be created where you need working at heights. We have to understand the requirements on site for health and safety. Is there a enclosed environment where you need to have portables with you because you're in an enclosed environment, and it could be more dangerous because you're in an area where there's less oxygen? So we have to bring in our own portables so we can then warn us that if the oxygen levels go down, that we have to be careful about that. So we also have to look at other aspects, ventilation. Are there roller shutter doors or doors open that will create airflow, which means that if there is a gas leak at a certain point, if a roller shutter door is always open and there's wind generally always flowing through there, then that gas may not stay in that point, and it may be blown to someone else. So it may be more sensible not to fit the sensor at that point, but put the sensor closer to where the gas will get blown. So you have to look at those sort of things. You have to look at how to run your cables. You have to look at seeing where to put your panel. If you put it into an office, and if it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week site, but where you put the panel in the office, they lock it at night, and that person goes home. If there's a problem and they can't get into the look at the panel because the office is shut, then you have to be aware of that and actually not put it in the office. So there are multiple aspects to look at that obviously that a plan can't give you, but a site inspection can give you, and it will give you all that information to see how to run your system, how to install the system. You can then gather the requirements from you, the client, to understand what you need in respect of information from the system. How does TLM help companies comply with local regulations? To be honest, there are not a lot of regulations in our industry, and that is something that we are trying to change. We have with some colleagues, we have started up the Gas Detection Association of South Africa, which we are working on. It's a very slow process, but we're trying to get there. So currently there isn't a lot. There are some standards that if you have gas detection, you should be doing it in a certain manner. But that's if you have gas detection or you're going to be installing gas detection. Sometimes fire departments will issue a notice to a company to say that they require them to install gas detectors. How can we help a client when a fire department has issued this instruction? Well, generally, the fire department would then ask you to have gas detection at the gas source, which is either your bulk tank and or maybe cylinders. So depending on the size of the gas store, cylinders or bulk tank, it will depend on how many sensors we put in that area.